And good morning, everybody. It is Thursday. You are almost there. You are 4/5 of the way there. And if my math is correct, that's 80%. My name is DJ Yoakley. You are with us on the Breakfast Burrito. My partner, as always, is the man, the myth, and the legend. His name is Tommy Pease. Tommy, what's cracking this morning, man?
Good morning, DJ. On the road today.
On this beautiful morning for you.
Beautiful Thursday morning, sun shining.
A little snow on the ground, though.
Yeah, I guess we're supposed to get a little snowstorm tonight and into tomorrow too. So winter is it's lingering here.
Oh man, I just wish it would go away.
Yeah, I'm ready for a little warmer weather. Tired of this.
I'm sure you guys got baseball right around the corner. I mean, you guys have been practicing in that gym. You ready to get outside and stretch out those arms?
Yeah, absolutely. Took the outfielders out the other day when it was nice out, but yeah, I'm starting to get a little cabin fever of being inside that gym.
Oh, I'm sure you are, man. I'm sure, and you and the rest of the baseball and softball coaches around the area, I'm sure the players as well, ready for a little bit of hardball and softball. So, dude, we had a busy morning here at YSN. We had some breaking news early this morning. The Youngstown Youth Flag Football Association is now officially partnered with your sports network here on ysnlive.com. We will be broadcasting the game of the week each and every Sunday starting April 15th, and we will have 4 games a day. Those are obviously on Sundays, and we're just nothing but excited to bring more attention to youth flag football. And of course, the kids of Youngstown, that are playing in it, some 1,500 kids a year play flag football with the YYFFA. So we're excited. We'll have the official signing here this afternoon with Mr. Elliot Giles and his team over there. I'll be taking part in that, and we'll have more about it on our webpage. So make sure you check out YYFFA on Facebook. Of course, YSN Media on Facebook, and then later today, ysnlive.com. We are super stoked to have some football here in the spring. And flag football is nothing to sneeze at. It's really cool for the kids, really cool opportunity for them to learn the game. And if I'm not mistaken, the Youngstown Youth Flag Football Association has at least one national title to their resume, and they're seemingly in the mix every single year. So it's pretty cool that we're going to be able to highlight these kids on a weekly basis as they continue their impressive resume already.
Be exciting to see the growth of these kids, follow them from their flag football days all the way up until when they're stars on the high school football team, and we can cover them on YSN with their affiliate school. So it's kind of exciting for YSN to see these kids, at their young age, and hopefully get to watch them develop into stellar athletes moving forward. So yeah, great news for YSN, great news for the Flag Football League.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. So that's going to lead us off this morning. A little bit of rough news last night. In case, if you're just waking up, good morning. But if you are kind of tuning in, and this is the first thing you've heard, unfortunately, the Cinderella season of the South Range Lady Raiders comes to an end last night, 51-38. It was an unbelievable season for the Raiders. They took on the Chippewa Chips, and the Chips were undefeated. I think 25-0, as I was told last night. And it was a tough season, or I guess a tough game for the Raiders. But I guess not everybody can get that storybook ending, and the Raiders really upset as they should be. After a loss like that, but they really put themselves out there. I mean, we had a story on ysnlive.com yesterday about Brooke Sauerwein and Bree Modick, about basically they were a bunch of role players that became superstars. Every player on that team became a star on their own, and it was exciting to watch the entire year. Best of luck to Sam Petrone, Maddie Durkin, because I mean it's going to be a huge gap to fill. But if I know Coach Matese, if I know these players, it's something that they're looking forward to in trying to accomplish that challenge, and bringing in new girls and kind of filling roles, and that's exactly what they did this year. So Ashley McKee as well. I don't want to leave her out, a senior multi-sport athlete, and really, took it into effect here for the South Range Raiders. So hats off to the Raiders. A great season comes to a untimely end, but nonetheless, hats off. I mean, it's tough enough to have a season like that and to make it as far as they did. So they dip out to the Chippewa Chips, and they will look forward to next year and see how the Raiders can advance.
Making it to the Sweet 16 is a successful season in any high school sport. So yeah, hats off to South Range girls for their run all the way to the Sweet 16. And it shows what a good program they have there, because like you said, they turn role players into superstars, and that's a direct reflection of a good basketball program. So hats off to them. Successful season. Don't hang your heads low, because you got nothing but stuff to be proud of in a very successful year for South Range in all sports this year. South Range just on fire. So
yep, yeah, it's been an incredible year over at the campus of South Range, and I think if I know any of those people over at South Range, I know that they'll take about 2 days to kind of reflect on this season, and then all of a sudden they're ready to go for next season. So it's going to be exciting. A lot of multi-sport athletes on that team. Like I said, Durkin playing at the next level at Shawnee State. So she will continue her athletic career, her basketball career, taking her talents to Shawnee State alongside another local basketball player here. So that'll be fun to watch as they move forward. But a great career by Durkin as a whole, 1,000-point scorer last year, in her junior year. So she had the target on her back all year. She was able to make everybody better around her, and that's why I think that the Raiders had so much success this season. Because if you take a player like that and she tries to do it herself, you only have to beat one person. But she made the team better because she made it a 5-person team, and 5 fingers on a fist. And that's exactly what the South Range Raiders were this year. They were an absolute fist. They worked together well. They had great bench scoring. And it seemed like every time Coach Mattizi made an adjustment, it went their way. So again, great job by the South Range Raiders. It was fun to watch you all season. We're looking forward to next season, and to the seniors. We wish you nothing but the best. But on to tonight's matchup, a big matchup for the Lisbon Blue Devils against Dalton Bulldogs. We talked about it seemingly all week, and there's some stories about it in the review, in the Morning Journal, and in the Salem News this morning about, Lisbon embracing that underdog role, Tommy. So, I mean, you're the closest to the program. Talk to me about kind of what you read this morning and essentially what the chances are for the Cinderella team in the Lisbon Blue Devils tonight against the Bulldogs.
Well, when you get this far into the state playoffs, I mean, records are thrown out the window. Lisbon, Cinderella story, we've talked for the last couple of weeks as they've made their run into the Sweet 16. Finished the season 17-9, but the key thing that sticks out for me, honestly, is the improvement factor that Lisbon has from the beginning of the year till now. Beat Valley Christian the other night 48-47, but in the first game of the year this year, Lisbon actually dropped a 30-point loss to Valley Christian. So that right there speaks volume for how improved they are. Turn a 30-point deficit into a 1-point district championship win. So Lisbon is definitely improved, and 17-9 is no record to be ashamed of in basketball. But they run into the Dalton, who's 21-4. They're back in the regional final again, or back in the regionals again, as last year they lost to Massillon Perry. So it should be an exciting game. I'm sure Lisbon's going to travel well. A lot of community pride going out there in the Lisbon area for the Lady Blue Devils. But the key tonight for Lisbon is to stop their Dalton's point guard, 5'8" sophomore point guard McKenna Geyser. She was third team All-Ohio last year, and this year she's averaging 16.5 points a game and 4.9 rebounds and 3.7 assists on the season. So if Lisbon can slow her down, it's definitely going to help their chances. But no matter what, I think Lisbon is going to be in this game till the end tonight. and it's gonna come down to shooting, turnovers, ball control, and if can win those battles, I think they got a shot to pull this out tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what happens. And the big thing for Lisbon, stopping a point guard shouldn't be an issue because they've hung their hat on defense all year. They knew that their offensive numbers were going to be down this year. Their defensive numbers, according to the reviews post here, it says their defensive numbers are much, much better. Defense and the trust in each other have been their biggest strengths down the stretch here. Early in the season, they were forcing things too much, and now they're taking what's there. So, you look at some of the scorers. You said Izzy Perez is one of the top players there, and she's only a sophomore, second season as a starter, and she's ascended up to a level with still room to grow. So, I mean, when you look at the possibilities, Lisbon has all the makings here to make it to the Elite Eight in the state of Ohio and possibly even further. First things first is getting by Dalton tonight, but they've already blown past a couple of their, favorite teams, I guess, is the best way to look at it. So it's going to be exciting tonight, Tommy. Are you going down for that one?
I will be there live in attendance, so I'll send you some updates.
That's going to be fun to listen and watch tonight. So YSN will be in the building, so we'll have a little bit of a story here for you on Twitter and Facebook. So stay tuned for that. All right, man, let's get right to it. There is a lot of stuff, a lot of moving and shaking going on in the NFL yesterday. I don't know if you caught much of it, but as we talked about this morning, the the Legion of Boom is the Legion of see you later. It is no more. So when you look at that, the pieces to the formerly Legion of Boom, the LOB, what's the biggest piece for you that you think that's going to hurt the Seahawks the most? Yesterday, I guess they're still in talks of moving Bennett to Philadelphia. There's talk of Sherman being moved as well. It was by day's end. I don't think he got moved, but he doesn't anticipate being a part of the Seahawks in 2018. What's the biggest piece that you think that the Seahawks will or could possibly move and hurt them the most?
Well, I mean, all those defensive players for the Seahawks, have a role there. But for me, I mean, I think the biggest issue is going to be the camaraderie and the intimidation factor that this group of gentlemen brought to the football field for the Seahawks over the past 3 or 4 years. Legion of Boom was a name that was a household name if you were an NFL football fan, and these guys put together a special run and put together some top-rated defenses for multiple years. But listen, NFL is not for long, so these guys' contracts are up. It never falls, in place to where they all stay.
I think we lost Tommy.
And it's going to leave the Seahawks with some big gaps to fill when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. So,
as a Steeler fan, would you want any of those guys on your roster?
Probably not.
I was going to say Richard Sherman doesn't. I don't think Richard Sherman makes you a better team with him on your roster. I think he causes a little too much drama, especially for the level of play he's at right now.
He kind of like a Mike Mitchell type player, I guess, when it comes to like attitude and his persona. And I wasn't a big fan of what Mitchell did this year, especially when he didn't back it up with his play. So yeah, I'm good on all those Seahawks guys. I think there's a reason why Seattle's not keeping them together, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with their gameplay and the demise of their skill set. I mean, it's hard to stay on top in the NFL for so long because you got youth that comes in who have that extra step of speed or have a little bit more durability than what some of these veteran players have. So it's hard to stay on top. And hey, big time defenses or household name defenses come and go. We've seen a handful of them in the NFL, and this is definitely the demise or the separation of one of them for sure.
So we talked yesterday about running backs, obviously with the Le'Veon Bell situation. But when you looked, we talked to Squeaky Bandito, who said that in the last 20 years, there's only been one featured running back, essentially, that has helped their team win a championship. And that was Marshall Faulk. But people forgot about, and I was toasted on social media yesterday after people listening to our show, Marshawn Lynch with the Seahawks. And I think why he was kind of overshadowed was because of this Legion of Boom defense is what everybody remembers in winning that championship for the Seattle Seahawks. So in reality, when they break up this team here, all that's left is Russell Wilson, and we'll get into him in the next segment about his situation now. But it's not like the Seahawks are an offensive juggernaut and they can afford to get rid of key pieces on defense. Whether they're just names or not, there's still a respect that comes with it. And I know that Bennett getting traded to the Eagles just makes the Eagles stronger. Not exactly sure why they would trade Bennett to the reigning Super Bowl champions that's in your conference. But I'm not the GM there. So are the Seahawks waving a white flag here?
Let's back up a minute here for the social media roasting that you took yesterday. First of all, Marshawn Lynch is not anywhere near the caliber of back of Marshall Faulk, Le'Veon Bell, or any of those guys. Lynch does not catch the ball in the backfield. He's a pounder. He's a bruiser. So the year that they won the Super Bowl, if you look at all-purpose yards that Marshawn Lynch had that year, I guarantee it maybe cuts 1,300 or 1,400 max. We're talking about guys yesterday, running backs that are putting up 2,000+ yard seasons, between receiving and rushing. So I'm not standing behind the guys who said that Marshawn Lynch is whatever, a complete back when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl.
That wasn't the question. The question was a featured back, and that's why I got roasted because he was the featured back. When you look at their roster, the only other running back they really looked at was Turbin, and he didn't really contribute that much. He was the guy out of the back, if they needed a swing play. Turbin was their guy. But in reality, Marshawn Lynch was, for all intents and purposes, a featured back. And that was the question that we kind of missed him. But I think because quite honestly, the Legion of Boom was the reason that the Seahawks won that championship. There was no doubt in my mind. But that wasn't, when you look at Marshawn Lynch, he was a featured back, and I was wrong. So I think the other one that I was brought to my attention was Jamal Lewis when the Ravens won the championship, and I quickly dismissed that one. I get where they're coming from, but they also had Priest Holmes on that roster. And, together I think they had Priest Holmes had like 600, 700 yards rushing that season. Jamal Lewis was a rookie. So he had a huge year, but not nearly as huge as years after that. But reality was that wasn't a featured back system. So that was kind of what I got yesterday, along with some other stuff about the Browns and drafting Saquon Barkley and stuff like that, which I still think we need to polish that up a little bit because it's just social media is so interesting when you talk about GMs and moves and who should be drafted and why. And, we could get into that later. We've already talked about Saquon Barkley at length, but the big thing yesterday for me was somebody said, why would you draft anybody else other than Saquon Barkley? And my answer was purely, why would you draft Saquon Barkley if you don't need a running back?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Johnson has the skill set to be a feature back, and with Crowell likely to be out of there because he's a free agent, I think it's Duke Johnson's time to shine. And I'm with you on the Saquon Barkley thing to where if, like you said, you don't need him, you might want him, but you don't need him. And I think the Browns can do a lot more damage in the draft by by passing on Saquon Barkley. And ultimately, if they wanted to even trade out of that number one spot to get even more picks in this draft or more picks for the future, and then whatever quarterback falls to him at 4, that's who you got to take.
That's exactly my thing there is, if Saquon Barkley is every bit as good as people are making him out to be, and scouts and GMs are drooling over this kid, you have all the leverage as the Cleveland Browns. Get out of there. Get out of it. You don't need Saquon Barkley. You need a quarterback. You need someone that can throw the ball. And the big thing was, okay, well, what are they going to? Are there any quarterbacks in this draft that can outperform what DeShone Kizer did last year? And my answer is yes, a resounding yes. This is the mentality that the Cleveland Browns have had for the last 20 years. And they say, oh, well, we can get this guy later. That's how you end up with Johnny Manziel. That's how you end up with guys like Brady Quinn, is you think you can get him later. Josh Allen, make no mistake about it, is a premium talent in this league. You know who else is a premium talent? Guys like Ben Roethlisberger. Guys like Eli Manning. Phillip Rivers even, right? Guys that you don't pass on. The Cleveland Browns have passed on so much talent. And you could say that about any team. But they cry and whine, I guess they're fans more than the actual franchise, about not getting their guy. Well, that's because for so many years they just get the best player available. They're not in a position to get the best player available. At 0-16, you got to get the best player at a position of need. And that position of need is a resounding quarterback. You need a quarterback. You passed on Carson Wentz. That says enough to me. And these fans that are, oh, well, we didn't know Carson Wentz was, he could have, if he comes to Cleveland, he's the next Johnny Man. No. He has the intangibles. Johnny Manziel, if he was your guy in the draft, then your GM needed fired. Your scouts need fired. And I think they probably, well, they are. They're all gone. But if you miss up on, if you blow this draft, you're looking at another 5 years. Josh Allen is the quarterback that the Cleveland Browns need to draft. He's a tall, athletic, strong arm, plays well in cold weather. Sounded like anybody you know. Probably the guy that owns the most victories at Cleveland Browns Stadium, who resides in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Big Ben.
That's the guy you need. You don't need a California quarterback. You don't need Jackson. If that's the guy you want, if that's the guy you think makes your team better, then you go after him. Who am I? But I think if with that number one draft pick, you trade it. If you really, really, really think that Josh Allen is going to slide to 4, like most people are saying, you either need to confirm and draft Josh Allen number 1 because he's your guy and it doesn't matter what anybody else says, he's going to be your franchise quarterback. Or you trade out and you fill your team with so much talent that you can have a guy like DeShone Kizer be your franchise quarterback. Because I don't think that he cannot be a QB1. But I really think that you need to surround him with a lot of better pieces. Because like we talked about with Cowherd, Ezekiel Elliott is a good running back because of the line that he inherited, because of Dak Prescott's ability, because you have receivers out there like Dez Bryant in the flat that takes pressure off of the running game. Cleveland has some of that, but they do not have the line that they used to have.
If you say that Josh Allen could possibly slide to 4, I mean, then why don't you take Saquon Barkley at 1 and then Josh Allen at 4?
I mean, you could, but in reality, I would, if I'm them, like the Cowherd article that we both watched. You can get 80% of Saquon Barkley in the 4th round. There's 12 running backs out there similar to Saquon Barkley. Now, none of them, now he's special. But at the same time, I want the guy who's touching the football every play to be my main guy, the guy that I focus the most on. And if you don't have that guy, you got to go get that guy. I mean, we've talked millions. I mean, I feel like we've talked at length what the Browns need to do, and you see everybody else seemingly doing it. The Jets backing up the Brinks truck to Kirk Cousins' house and saying, write your own contract. You know, teams like that, Minnesota doing the same thing. They don't even need a quarterback. They have 3 quarterbacks. The Browns need a guy, the guy. And they need to commit to him, not a one-and-done situation like Kaiser. Manziel was he was kind of a mess. But, I mean, we've all seen that jersey with 30 names on it. Who's the next Cleveland Browns quarterback? And if you're the GM of the Browns, that's going to be the last name on that jersey.
They got to get it right sooner or later. It's been way too long where they've missed on way too many talents, and so now's the time. And there's a nice list of quarterbacks in this draft who could turn this Browns franchise around. It's just a matter of getting it right, because, you know, out of these top 3 or 4 quarterbacks, 1 or 2 of them probably are going to be very successful in the NFL. Another one might have a mediocre career, and one of them's going to flop. So hopefully for the Browns, they don't take the one that's going to flop.
Well, that's it. And you got to look at the teams behind you. You look at the Giants and the Colts. The Giants need a quarterback as well. Did we forget about Eli Manning getting benched? They need a quarterback.
Injury issues plagued the Giants last year.
It did. But they also need a quarterback because Eli is on his last legs. He is not even in the realm that he used to be as Eli Manning. And that's not even close to where his brother was, even. You know what I mean? He can have 2 Super Bowl championships, but reality is he's been an above average quarterback. I would not put him in elite status. Would you?
No, I don't think he's elite by no means. I mean, he's a serviceable quarterback. Does a good job managing the game at times, especially when all of the talent's on the field with him at the same time. But no, he's definitely not an elite quarterback. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Giants are going to grab a quarterback. There's no doubt about it. And he might not be a first-year starter, but you know, they're going to probably sit him behind Manning and see what he's got. So, I mean, the guy with the highest upside who might need the most work is who the Giants are probably going to look at taking there, I'd imagine.
I mean, my big thing for the Giants is this. They've got a guy that's serviceable. They've got Eli Manning. He's not going to win them games on his arm, but he's definitely not going to lose them. They can go for Saquon Barkley and improve their offense significantly. They're in a position that the Browns are not, that all the Browns fans seemingly think they are, where, oh, okay, well, if we just get Saquon Barkley, then we can draft one of the guys at 4. No, get your guy. Get the guy you want, because there's no guarantee he's going to be there at pick 4. Because you pick, let's say, for instance, you pick Barkley at 1, okay? Then you say the Giants don't pick Barkley. They know they're going to need a quarterback. They go with the route you just explained, and they pick up Josh Allen at 2. The Colts go against the grain. They've been holding their cards close to the vest, and they decide to go with Darnold at 3. Now your best chance is Rosen at 4 or Jackson at 4. Rosen already said he doesn't want anything to do with Cleveland. Jackson is just to me, he's just a younger RG3 that, with all the running that he does, could be an injury-prone guy. Because the NFL is way different than Louisville or Louisville.
And is Baker Mayfield just completely out of the discussion now?
I don't think people are real thrilled with Baker Mayfield and what he did. And he's a Heisman Trophy winner, and that's what I was trying to explain yesterday. Baker Mayfield is a Heisman Trophy winner, proven, and then you get what about Johnny Manziel? I mean, if the Browns draft if the Browns draft Baker Mayfield, what they're going to get is an immature quarterback with a chip on his shoulder that's going to come in, and it might be what they want. It might be exactly what they want. It's someone who thinks, it's me against the world, but those aren't your leaders. Your leaders are the guys who know they need to learn, and put other people in front of them. And then when they need to, they step in front and take the beating. I'm not saying that Roethlisberger's always been the best leader, but guys like Peyton Manning, who took his lickings the first couple of years, never really had I don't want to say he never had first-rate talent, because he had, Marvin Harrison. He had Reggie Wayne. But it's chicken or the egg. Did Marvin Harrison make Peyton Manning, or did Peyton Manning make Marvin Harrison? One of those things. But for me, it's Baker Mayfield's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's a smaller guy. Not as small as Johnny Manziel. But the Cleveland Browns need a sturdy, strong-armed quarterback. Baker Mayfield's, his numbers are there for accuracy, but for me, it's more than that. You've got to have an upside. And from what the scouts are saying, Mayfield's upside is there's a ceiling on it. And, you can't teach arm strength.
No, I mean, I like Mayfield's game, but I don't know if it correlates over to the NFL very well. Allen seems to be the choice that makes the most sense for Cleveland, in my eyes. But it's tough. I mean, if you're a Cleveland Browns front office guy and you're trying to work around these issues to who you're going to take on draft day, it's a tough decision, because I mean, like you said, Saquon Barkley, I mean, you could be, I know you say there's 12 other running backs that are 80% of what Saquon Barkley bring to the table. They're out there ready, ripe for the picking. But at the same time, it's a big risk to pass on such a special talent. And it's got to be tough for the Browns, because they've missed so many times in the draft. And here they have the number 1 overall pick, and they can't afford to miss again. So I'm sure anxiety's high, tension's high in the Browns front office as they try to whittle away at what they're going to do come April in the NFL draft. But it's going to be interesting, because they can't mess up. They got to get this right. They have the 1st and the 4th pick in a very talented NFL draft class, and they got to get it. Now's the year that the Browns have to get it. If they don't get it this year, they're setting themselves back again for another 4 or 5 years. So they got to get it right. Got to get it right.
So to wrap this up, you ready? Here's the question. You are the Browns GM. You're sitting there with the 1st and the 4th pick. You can draft running back, quarterback, running back, or you can trade. What are you doing?
I mean, you're putting me on the spot here, and if I have to make a decision right now, I'm going to do that. I'm going to let fate take its course here. I'm going to take the best available player in the draft and Saquon Barkley at 1, and I'm going to let fate handle who my quarterback is at 4.
You're taking Saquon and then, dealing with it at 4.
Yep, whoever's there.
I'm drafting out, or I'm trading out. I want as much top-level talent as can be provided to me. And I think I can get at least another 1st-round draft pick, maybe, a couple 2nd rounds, 3rd round, maybe even, who knows, maybe even you get your quarterback with that, or, somebody with a veteran tendency. I would rather be surrounded by, if you have 11 guys on the field, I'd rather have 11 4-star guys out of 5 than 1 5-star, a bunch of 3 stars, and a couple 2 stars.
It makes sense. Did you say that the Giants pick 2, right?
Giants pick 2, Colts pick 3.
And more than likely, they're going to take a quarterback.
They're pretty close to the vest too. I think what they do depends on what
Cleveland does.
Yeah, because if they don't, they're in a position they can draft either. They're in the position that the Browns would die to be in right now. Because if the Giants were number 1 overall, then what do you do? I mean, you could. I would take Barkley if I'm the Giants, because you have your quarterback for another one, maybe 2 years, but at least get him through this year, and then you can roll the dice in free agency or But the Browns don't have that. Browns don't have that opportunity unless you're going to put all your faith in Kaiser and hope that he develops. Which is, he's a smart kid. He went to Notre Dame. It's a possibility, but I think that there is zero confidence, I guess, is in Deshaun Kaiser because of the season he had. And I mean, you look back at any rookie season, there's only a few that stand out. Robert Griffin III was one of them. And, Peyton Manning
look where he's at now.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's why I think that's why people are worried about Lamar Jackson. Because he is essentially a young Robert Griffin III. And quarterbacks that roll out aren't exactly, they do it for a year or two, but they don't do it for long. Russell Wilson is the only one that I see consistently rushing around anymore because everybody's getting bigger, faster, stronger. And the quarterbacks can't, right? Quarterbacks can't.
Jackson's risk is a lot higher than what his reward would be, in my opinion.
I'm with you. Because
Deshaun Watson was set to have probably one of the best seasons by an NFL rookie quarterback in league history last year before he got injured, but in practice.
Right.
But he's a running quarterback, and the injury risk is there, and it showed.
Well,
so
yeah, I agree with you to an extent. Now, Deshaun Watson was putting up games unbelievable in passing stats, right? He was passing like 4 touchdowns a game there for a little bit. He's an athletic quarterback, but he can get it done in the pocket. I think some of the questions, the red flags that people have about Jackson is in the combine, on game film, he's throwing ducks. And, in college, you can get it done with your legs because not everybody is going to be in the NFL. There's not that. Now, they're talented, but there's not that elite level talent. In the NFL, these guys are trying to put food on their tables. They're not. It's not all about chicks digging the long ball. It's about getting it done and making sure you get your money, keep your spot, so you're not working at Sam's Club in 3 months. That's the issue. Is you're going up against guys with stuff on the line. Not that these college athletes don't, because I think we all know that there's probably a little bit of scratch on the line for them as well. In regard to sponsorship, or not sponsorships, excuse me, scholarships, and things like that. But I'm with you. I think there's much more risk in Lamar Jackson than there is reward. And I think that's going to be – somebody's going to take a flyer on him. And it's going to be interesting. But I pray for Cleveland's sake it's not them. And for New York, I hope it's not them either. Either of the New York teams. All right. This is the one we've been waiting for, the one we got to get to today. And it is our parents being too harsh about the winning and losing for their kids. And we're talking 8 to 12-year-old range, right before high school. Because once you get to high school, it's a different story. But when you talk about parents, and I'm going to get you all revved up, when you talk about parents putting too much emphasis on winning and losing, is that a problem right now in society? I say it is.
I think the problem is parents who can't accept the fact that their kids have lost. I'm not sure the problem lies in the parents who, put a focus or whatever on being a winner or not trying to lose, or parents who say that it's not okay to lose. I mean, losing happens, and you got to be a good loser before you can be a good winner. I've said that before. But at the same time, the problem doesn't lie with in my opinion, the parents who want to win or want their kids or children or athletes or whoever to be winners. It lies with the parents who can't accept the fact or want to tell their children that they lost. That's where I think the issue comes into play. And that's, the everybody's a winner type mentality.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here's the thing. And you've coached at this age. You understand that from 8U to 12U, it's about learning the game and making sure the kids play the game right. I don't care. I mean, yes, I'll probably be one of those parents that wants to win just because I'm a competitive person. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, I want to make sure that my kid, or if I'm a coach, all my kids are playing the game the right way, are learning the right way, and are able to get better, grow, continue to grow, continue to love the game for what it is, respect the game, respect this, have sportsmanship, even though sometimes it's hard. But it's one of those things where I want my kid to – I was on a terrible team, best player on a terrible team for much of my childhood, right? But it made me grow because I had to start helping my teammates and understanding what it's like to lose, not liking it, but understand what it's like. And you're going to lose in life. That's what sports is all about. And then once you win, the feeling that you get is something that you want to continue to get over and over and over again. And I think that's part of the problem is everybody's a winner now, right? Even when you lose, you're a winner. And I know this is one of your favorite topics, but when you lose and you learn from it. You can be sad, you can be upset, that's okay. But reality is not everybody should get that trophy at the end of the season.
I'm 100% with you. I don't think when you lose, but losing should be a lesson in whatever sport you're playing. I mean, if you lose, there's a reason why you lost. Now let's take a step back and let's figure out what we can do to to minimize the losses moving forward. You're never going to hear me get down on any team that I'm involved with for losing, but there's lessons to be learned in losing. So we're going to figure out what we got to do so we can minimize the losing. It's, I feel like I said a minute ago, I feel like the problem is the fact that when teams win and teams are excited about winning and get fired up about winning, the losing team always, they got a chip on their shoulder. They lost. And that's when you start to hear, the rumblings of, oh, well, it's all about winning to them, the team that won. All they care about is winning, or, it's whatever. And I feel that it just you have to be a good loser before you could be a good winner. And I feel like that's where most of the issues come from in youth sports are the parents that cannot handle the fact that their children lost or their team lost. But in any game, in any sport, there's winners and there's losers, and you got to learn to deal with that.
Where do you think that stems from? Where do you think it's one of those things where, because I hear this a lot, when I go to my god kids' games, it's, well, I paid the money too, I paid to do this, I paid, and it's less. It used to be just because the kid doesn't play, and now it's more of because the kid doesn't win, right? And it's become okay to pull your kid off a team or to do other things other than go to that game when you're on a losing team. That emphasis that we're talking about, I really do believe it's a parent problem. I think I'm on board with you. It's a parent problem. And the coach, not saying that the coach has to make the kids run burpees or or do burpees or run sprints or make them do push-ups, but the whole spank your kid syndrome, I don't spank my kid, or I'd never touch my child and it's abuse and stuff. I get where they're coming from, but if you're not letting a coach do their job and you're telling your kid that it's not okay to lose, when in many sports you're going to, because you're not always going to be the best on the field, or you're not going to be surrounded with the greatest of all time. It's hurtful. You're putting the coach in a bad place. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Coaching youth sports is probably more stressful than coaching a major league team, to be honest with you, because you just don't have parents, in your face when it comes to professional sports. I mean, you got other issues that you're dealing with these professional athletes, but at the same time, yeah, parents, not all parents are bad. There's a lot of great parents out there who understand and might have the same mindset as what you're trying to instill in these kids. But yeah, parents, there's a lot of problem parents out there, and it might not be their fault. It's probably how they're raised, and they don't want to be a part of a losing team. And if, like you said, if they are a part of a losing team, then they feel it's okay to back out on that team. But at the end of the day, these people got to realize that losing builds character, and winning in life is very important, whether it be in athletics, in education, in the job world. It doesn't matter. Winning's important. As a human, you should want to win. I mean, it's been competition has got our society to where it's at today.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, nobody wants to see their kid. The problem is nobody wants to see their kid sad, or nobody wants to see their kid be down because they lost. But at the same time, you can't let your child feel that they're always going to win, or everything they're doing in life is they're going to be a winner, because you're setting your kid up for failure if that's the case, because you're going to win a lot in life and you're going to lose a lot in life, and you're going to have a lot of lessons learned in life. The key is, when you do make mistakes or you lose, is to learn from those mistakes or learn from those losses to become a better, more well-rounded person, better, more rounded athlete. It's just it's like we've been trying to get to this topic for 3 or 4 days, but it's a difficult topic, because there's a great divide in this country, and it's on so many issues, and this is one of them, and it's tough to deal with. It really is.
So let's put you in the position, because you're the guy that coaches right now. You're in there, and your team I'm going to put you in a position of losing, because it doesn't happen very often. So your team just lost, and a parent comes down to you and says, little Johnny is upset because they lost. I don't understand why you did this, that, or the other thing. What's your reaction to that as a coach? How do you handle the situation? Do you embrace it, deflect it?
I mean, are you talking? What sport are you talking? I mean, are you talking baseball? Are you talking basketball? Are you talking? I mean,
any sport, really. I mean, are there different situations for different sports?
Well, I mean, I guess not when it comes to winning and losing. I mean, if a parent came up to me and said that their kid was sad because they lost, I'd be like, well, hey, you know what? That's okay. It's okay to be down when you lose, because you should be down when you lose. But hey, we're going to get back to the drawing board. We're going to see what we can do to limit losses in the future. But, unfortunately, we're going to win games and we're going to lose games. And we have to be just as good as losing at losing as we do at winning. And, I mean, that's how I would answer it. I mean, that's probably politically correct, but at the same time, I mean.
The guy that's never politically correct, when I put him on the spot, goes politically correct. Come on, Tommy. I mean,
that's a question. I've never had that question. No parents ever came to me and said, my son's really sad about losing.
My son's upset about losing. We don't stand for it. One of those things where, or how about this one? We see a lot of this right now. Instead of the parent embracing losing and teaching how to lose, they blame the coach.
Oh, well, that's natural.
Did you see the last? I think it was a North Carolina student came out and on the floor and was talking about how he would always blame the coaching staff for why he didn't have playing time and things like that, and he finally realized that it was all about looking in the mirror. Did you catch that by chance?
I did not, but it makes sense.
Yeah, but we live in a society now that it's never our fault. It's never our problem. And I think that's what we're teaching kids in sports now is, oh, well, just because you struck out, little Jimmy struck out too. It's not just you, it's everybody else. And, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Winning and losing it is important in life. But like you said, you've got to learn how to lose. People don't, they think because they pay $80 or $100 for registration that their kid is going to be, Albert Pujols. Their kid is going to be, Saquon Barkley of flag football or of baseball or of basketball or of whatever. The reality is this. They're supposed to be learning the game and having fun. That's the reality. Whether they win or lose, did they give it their best and did they have fun during the game? Now, you're not always going to have fun. You're going to have off nights that if you're a competitor, you're frustrated. But parents need to be able to whittle that down and say, okay, listen, you had an off night, relax. Not saying, I know that you hate when I say, even though you lost, you go for ice cream. But sometimes ice cream is a good thing when you lose because you understand that life is, you can still get good things when bad things happen to you. Good things are right around the corner.
Look at you.
I try.
When you coach and your team loses, you're going to be at Dairy Dream in East Palestine every day, or whatever that ice cream place is on the corner out there.
Dairy Mill.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that coach. But I mean, like, here's the thing. There's a time and a place for it. I mean, I am Coach Blood from the Mighty Ducks. I've been called Coach Blood. I've had people say that I'm too invested in, I yell too much or, this, that. And I coached straight out of college. I coached Little League. I coached minor league. I coached, as much as I possibly could with no horses in the race. And I still got yelled at, people, but we were in the championship every year. We were an advanced team because I taught them the stuff. But I was a little too aggressive, and that's something that you learn. Like, you have expectations, and if those players don't meet that expectation, then either they don't play or yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm in a position right now where my best friend is a coach of a base. He's actually leading an entire league, and I always constantly joke with him saying, "You just pick the best kids. You just pick the best kids." His son is never going to learn how to lose. And reality is he already has. They're very good at teaching him that not everything's going to go your way, but if you work hard, you have a good chance at it. So my thing is that parents are just aggressive, right? They want to win almost more than the kids do. And if they don't win, they're more upset than the kids are. And the kids see that, and then that's where the attitudes come in.
Yeah, most problems on any youth team are all a direct reflection of what the kids hear at home or the parents' comments after a game. It all rolls downhill. One of the things that is a major issue, and you touched on this, is the fact that you said if you pay, a lot of parents feel like if you pay the registration fee that it's it's like an equal opportunity employer, that everybody's equal, but that's not the case. And that's where these parents have to realize that, especially maybe not at the 8, 9, 10-year-old level, but once you get 11 and 12-year-old level, these kids who are rising to the top, who are your best athletes in all these sports, of course they're naturally talented, but these kids are now beginning to develop a work ethic to where they want to, inside their hearts, they're becoming young men or young adults or young women, and they know that the harder they work at their craft or their skill, as if it was a job, the better they're going to get. Like my son plays baseball and basketball, and he's above average in both sports. He does well. Yes, naturally athletic, but 2, he works at everything he does. Doesn't put down a basketball, always dribbling. Anytime there's a camp, he wants to go to it. He works out. He does Vertimax. He's always hitting off the tee, always using the pitch back. Now, I mean, the kid's just constantly working on his craft, and it shows when he's on the field. And that's what some of these parents don't understand, is the fact that, okay, you paid your $6,500, $100, whatever it is, to play the sport you're playing. That doesn't mean that your son automatically is a star or gets the same amount of playing time as the kid who is home busting his butt to become an elite player. That's one of the major issues in youth sports is everybody thinks it should be an even playing field. Well, life's not even. The harder you work, the more you're going to get out of it. And that goes not only for youth sports, it goes for life in general. And I think that whenever the time comes when parents realize, like, hey, my son's on a baseball team or a football team or a basketball team, he's on the team. I paid for him to be on the team. But if he wants to be a star or he wants to be a player who makes an impact, he's going to have to work for it. Period.
You hear that?
Is that a clap? Am I getting a clap for that?
You're getting a standing O, man. That's what I was looking for. Tommy's on fire.
I mean, it's just it. Listen, and I got a heart. You know what I mean? I don't like kids not playing. You know, I don't like cutting kids. I don't like doing any of that because everybody's a human being. Everybody has a heart, but at the same time, I'm trying to be real.
Let me ask you this: this is a big thing that's come up in the past few years. Are you familiar with the A team and B team talk?
Yes.
What's your feeling on A team and B team at the younger ages? So 8U to 12U.
I don't like it. I don't like it. If you're talking recreational sports, I don't like it. If you feel that if in your local area or your local community, you feel that you have a group of kids who are good enough to be considered an AA team, they need to go play in a competitive level. Hands down. They need to play competitive basketball. They need to play travel baseball, etc. They have that A and B teams, which is normally in basketball and baseball, is if you're playing recreational sports, teams you should just go in, draft a team, and go. If you want to load teams up A and B, it needs to be for travel or some sort of competitive program.
So basically, you're a proponent for these travel programs if there's, a community league that wants to have A team and B team, you're against it.
Listen, I loved when I was a kid. We had the complex where Beaver Local School sits now, the Old Timers Baseball Complex. I played there from the time I was 7 years old all the way up until I was 14. It was all recreational sports. It was competitive. We had 12, 13 teams. It's where I met Aaron Walker. He came in and played. It was recreational baseball. You had a draft. The kids played. It was the best time of my life. Loved it. And it made me a good baseball player, made me a better baseball player. However, times have changed. Numbers in baseball, in most areas, smaller areas, are not as abundant as they were in the early 90s when we played youth sports. However, the whole thing's changed. If you want to become better, if you have pride in your game and one day you want to be the YSN player of the game, or you want to lead your team to the Sweet 16, or you want to make a deep run into the baseball state playoffs, or you want to win a state title in football, if you want to be that type of player in the world we live in today, not our childhood because times change, the world you live in today, you have to go out and find a place to play where you are going to play elite talent against elite talent, because that's what's going to make you a better player. And we see that today. There's travel baseball leagues all over the state, all over the country. Same thing. You got AAU basketball. You got, you got JO volleyball. These organizations that have come to the forefront that put elite youth talent against elite youth talent, the only thing they're doing is making all those kids better players. And that's where we are today in youth sports. It's changed. It's not like it used to be. And I think some people are bothered by that, but nothing's like it used to be in this country. You know what I mean? It's a different world. It's going to change. And then 20 years from now, if we're talking about the same subject, it's probably going to be different then. So you gotta take it with a grain of salt, man. It's an ever changing world we live in today.
Game, set, match. Tommy Pease, everybody. What a rant. I love it. That's what we're looking for. Tommy, a great show today. Obviously, more on the way tomorrow. It's going to be Friday, and you know what that means.
The Bandito.
The Bandito returns. So for this Thursday edition, oh, by the way, something we wanted to incorporate real quick. This is episode 28. Who is the best number 28 you know? Any sport, we're going to retire the number 28.
Oh, my goodness. You put me on the spot here. I didn't know we were going to do this today.
You had it yesterday.
No, I know. We didn't do it yesterday either, though.
Who is your 27?
If I have to retire a 27 jersey, I mean, this is just off the top of my head. It's probably going to have to be probably Trout, right?
Oh, I'm going Vladdy Guerrero.
Oh, wow. It's a good one.
Expos jersey, not the Angels jersey as he's taken into the Hall of Fame, which is crap.
And then let's see here,
28.
number 28.
Oh, I got one for you. Oh, I can't wait.
Go ahead.
Al Martin.
That's just ridiculous.
You remember Big Al Martin?
Yeah, I remember Al Martin, but he's not the greatest player to wear number 28. Listen, number 28, and this is crazy because we talked about this at length yesterday, Marshall Faulk.
Ooh, okay. All right, you win. Al Martin, sorry, man. I tried. That does it for our show.
I'll be more prepared for that tomorrow, I promise.
I think we all know who 29 is going to be. That's pretty – no, it's not really that easy now that I think about it. But it'll be exciting. We'll see what the Bandito comes with for 29.
Oh, he'll come something out of the wall. He'll come with like a NASCAR driver or something.
I've got my ideas and my thoughts. So
Kevin Harvick. That's what Bandito will say.
That's it. That's a wrap on episode 28 of the Breakfast Burrito here on YSN. For Tommy Pease, I am DJ Yoakley. It's a great day.
Make it yours.